This is another episode of the Express Lane Podcast with
Kevin Stan. What's going on? We got Nick Picts here.
Hi there.
It's best way to go by Nick Picts.
Yeah, Nick Picts works. That's what I go by a few names here. If he wants to introduce me as Nick Picts,
that's what
cool.
Stan has been saying who he had when he was like, I got a guy, and I was like, oh, who? And he said Nick Picts. I was like, all right, like you're saying that like I should know.
Yeah,
and I don't.
Dude, bro, you don't know who Nick Picts is? That's ridiculous, bro.
Yeah, it's just
like not cool. Like a lot of people know this guy.
Well, we got Nick here.
Yeah,
Yep.
And so you say photography, music, a little bit of everything. You got
absolutely
going on.
Photography, I might adjust this a little bit more. Photography is definitely more so my thing right now. I've had my hand in quite a few little, like, the term's cookie jars, I guess.
Yeah.
Would that be it? I work I don't want to get too into, like, my full-time job, but it's really crazy. I'm not going to try not to talk about that too much because I end up talking about it way too much. It bores the hell out of people. But I did the whole college thing. Here's a little bit of my tragic backstory. Okay, it's not really whatever. But essentially, I was like, go to college, go do marketing, and do whatever marketers do. And I'm like, what do marketers do? And I towards my fourth year, I was like, okay, what do marketers do? They market. I still had absolutely no clue. But essentially, I found out that like, wait, I could use my hobbies and make money with my hobbies. People will pay you for taking photos of them. That's ridiculous. I didn't know that.
That's the way the world should work. Is you find something you like doing and make some money
exactly.
off of it.
And don't get me wrong, I'm completely aware I am 100% like the luckiest guy in the world for being able to work, do something creative that I love that was originally a hobby, something I just had fun with and make money with, and that to me is the coolest thing ever. And of course, without this community and the people who kind of like supported me, I wouldn't be, anything or anywhere at that. But sorry, I'll get started off there. So photo is definitely the biggest thing for me right now. I love doing it, and I've kind of been thrusted in this world of photo over the past year, and I have a lot of experiences with it, doing graduation shoots, shooting a lot of live music, like nonstop live music. I've been doing all different types of stuff. So photography is the big thing right now. A lot of people might not actually know this. This is why I'm wearing this shirt. Over the past 3 years and through college, it kind of got me through. I was doing a thing called Collegeville Customs. Collegeville Customs, it was my own custom. I mean, I still do it. Custom apparel, printing, gifts, all like dye sublimated, done with this high quality latex stuff. And essentially what it is, I mainly did shirts. I mainly did shirts, hoodies, that sort of thing. What I'm wearing right now, you can kind of see it, is a Wildwood, New Jersey shirt. That is the monster logo flipped upside down. I scourged eBay, I searched Mercari, and I was looking for it because I'll get into this in a bit, but to me it was just like pure 2007 Wildwood. I don't know. You guys, I imagine, went down the shore when you were
still to this day.
I know you're a Wildwood guy, right?
I've been to Wildwood, yeah.
Okay, are you a Wildwood guy? Or?
Yeah, I used to be. Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'd go down there now.
Well, it gets a bad
reckless.
rap for. It's pretty justified. I'll be completely honest. It all depends. What's fun about Wildwood? It all depends on the weekend that you go down. And it all depends on the people and the attitudes. Because, obviously, like, a big draw for Wildwood is that huge convention center, and you're going to get different people down every single week. Next weekend, I think, is the Barefoot Music Festival. So you're getting a lot of, like, country people, that sort of stuff. People, like, super into country music.
Hippies.
Yeah. It's still going to get kind of wild because it's a lot of people. But they've noticed, like, that's a pretty respectful crowd that comes down. And people, they love the Barefoot Country Music Festival. They started, like, to shift Wildwood into, like, this weird, like, they built a bar called the Honky Tonk, and they're trying to make it, like, Western, even though it's, like, South New Jersey, and it's so weird. But
a few of the bands have played there. Looks nice, looks cool.
Oh, yeah, I saw Monty there recently.
Yeah.
It was really
did you go
cool.
down for it?
I
nice.
wasn't, like, I was in the area, but I definitely made an effort. We're staying an extra day, and we got to go check out Monty, and that was so worth it, seriously.
Yeah. Awesome.
And they fit the vibe perfectly they all, like, I think it was, like, Charles and stuff. They all dressed up. They got, like, cowboy hats. It was great.
So are you making the Wildwood shirts with the monster logo? Like,
I'm not selling these.
Oh no,
no.
I was gonna say I feel
project.
like that would sell like hotcakes down on the boardwalk. I feel.
So that's the thing. I made this because I saw these down the shore all the time. You can't get them
okay.
anymore.
So
Um,
I thought that was like, dude, like nobody's thought of this yet. I'm
No,
doing
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, but you just saw it and were like, oh, I'm gonna make
and
my own.
I remember it as this
Yeah.
kind of like really grody, really tacky thing that was like pure Wildwood 2006 essence. Like obviously I have good memories of going down to Wildwood as like a kid and stuff, and you know going to the fair, not the fair, the boardwalk
Yeah.
and stuff, and eating ice cream and delicious pizza and all that stuff. But at the same time, I remember like once it turned to nighttime, it just got crazy. I just remember hearing fights and
Too many
smelling
kids in one
cigars.
area.
Yeah, and the thing that's crazy is like there's these beautiful like doo-wop hotels, like these motels. They're beautiful, super well crafted, literally historical stuff. Like a lot of people don't know this. You can kind of get the vibe when you go to Wildwood, but they're kind of losing it, but it's keeping it at the same time. But Wildwood is the single biggest concentration of doo-wop architecture in the entire United States.
Huh.
So everything like old school, like you know what doo-wop is, right? Like 1950s, like
Explain
neon
it to
atomic age.
listeners that might not know.
Yeah,
So
explain it to
doo-wop-
co-hosts that are idiots.
Yeah, doo-wop is like the atomic age of the 1950s, essentially, where it was these really bright colors. It actually, funny enough, it comes back from World War II. A lot of color wasn't here pre-World War II, and then soldiers went over. I mean, in the 50s, pretty much everyone was a vet, and there was just this really unique culture where everyone had come back from Europe or come back from one of the fronts in World War II. And the one thing they took from Europe, because over here we were still like literally everything was beige, black and white, like not a lot of color, not a lot of pop, that sort of thing. They went to Europe, and Europe had all these different colors, and they're like, well, you know what, I want to incorporate that. So they brought these pastel pinks, like hot reds, that sort of stuff, and that kind of was like, I gotta stop doing that. That was like the look and feel of the 1950s, and that was just so freaking cool. So Wildwood's very much like modeled after that. They've got a lot of beautiful neon. They've got these nice pastel colors. A lot of like the actual inspiration for how they built it. I have a book, funny enough, it's like Doo-Wop Wildwood. There's certain historical districts where if you build your own building and you're in a historical district, you actually get a tax incentive if you make it look doo-wop. That's why if you go down there, the Wildwood Wawa is like the only Wawa in the entire world that looks like that. I just took some photos of that. It's one of my favorite spots. And that's like decked out in like underglow. It's so beautiful. There's an Acme that looks like it's a 50s Acme. Walgreens as well. It's just really cool when you go down there.
Yeah, that's like Jim Thorpe.
it's
like they
definitely-
pay them an
exactly,
incentive.
like a
That's
different-
Cool.
Definitely
So-
a vibe
Yeah.
to the bygone era for a lot of
Exactly.
buildings.
So, Jim Thorpe's known for the Swedish, I believe, right? Everything's Swedish architecture there. They were made
You
after
say so.
Swedish. Well, that's
It
what
looks
I,
cool.
That's what I understand. It's Swedish A-frames. I'm not like an architecture guy. I just happen to like.
You know
I
more
think
than
it's
me.
interesting.
You're
Um,
my architecture
You
guy
brought
now.
up Jim Thorpe.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just because they have cool old buildings. But like when you're walking down the main street, like all of them have different colors, and they're all like
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah. So that
there's incentive to kind of have like a not I would say goofy, but like a certain style to fit in with the street. So
Yeah.
it's cool when you're walking down that main street.
completely understand. Yeah.
What
think,
it's called, I don't know.
I think it's.
I like
Swedish
they named it
A-frames.
Jim.
Okay.
I like they named it Jim Thorpe just cause the dude is not from there.
Yeah. Got this huge statue. You got there.
The only thing that I went like historical wise was going to the prison where they held all the Irish
cool.
people, whatever they called them.
Molly McGuire's.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Molly McGuire's. Yeah.
The famous handprint.
So yeah, yep. We went in that now begrudgingly. Their wife drugged me in there, but it was pretty cool.
No, there's stuff that you go and you're like, this is a tourist trap, and then you get in there, you're like, wow, it's kind of cool.
But the
I will
dude
say-
looked like Santa Claus, and I think during winter times he is Santa Claus. But he did the tour, and he was just—it's all about the person that takes you.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cool.
I listen. I believe like whatever supernatural. We could talk about that. I don't want to get too sidetracked here, but like, I think it's a little weird they won't let you take like a non-flash photo of the hand.
Yeah.
And they're selling postcards with photos. I'm like, you know about the hand, right?
I have no idea.
Long story short,
Whose hand?
I'm not okay. So they had, from what they believe, I'm pretty sure it was true. They falsely accused Molly McGuire's, which were like a group of I can't exactly remember, but I think
Just like the
Irish
like,
workers.
Yeah, workers.
They're
They're just picking on the Irish.
Yeah.
Everybody gets their turn.
So they sentenced them to death, and this one guy they like falsely accused of murder, really horrible stuff. And obviously Irish super Catholic, background, that sort of thing. He comes back and he says, I'm gonna dip my hand in the dirt of the cell, like they're about to kill him. and he goes, "I swear to God, if I strike me," something like that. Make sure this handprint stays. If I'm an innocent person, wash it away if it doesn't. So pretty much years, and they've washed it off. They killed the guy. They've washed it off, and it comes back, which is insane. And it's been there since like the 1900s, and it's this like famous handprint on the wall, and it's so crazy. To what extent
cool.
do I think it's real? I don't know, but it's an interesting story. You take that away, and the town's like a little less interesting. I got to go visit.
I don't believe in ghosts.
You ever heard of Mothman?
Yeah, Mothman Prophecies.
Oh my God, I've never seen the movie. I have no.
It's old. That's a.
Have you seen the Mothman?
No, I haven't seen the Moth. But I went and saw Moth. Well, technically, I did. I went to West Virginia, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. The entire town is Mothman.
Really?
So crazy. Like, I guess it was like an old coal town, like a little island almost. And it's like this beautiful, beautiful place in West Virginia. Nothing but trees for miles. The entire town was lucky to have a McDonald's, to be completely honest. But you go there, and it's like Mothman gift shop. There's 2 Mothman gift shops. There's a thrift store selling Mothman merch. There's a McDonald's, as I mentioned. And then it's West Virginia. So, like, I think it was like gaming lounge. You're like, what's a gaming lounge? That's where they have like their slot machines and stuff. But it was like PA skill, and we all went in and we're like, what is this? And it was just like no windows, nothing, because they don't want to show you what's going on. And they got really weird gambling laws there, I assume. And you go in and it's just one room, one person, and just one of those Pennsylvania skill machines. And it was just like weird. Like the thing is, like, you'll go to a different part of the country.
Gotta get your fix somehow.
Yeah. So that's a funny. Go ahead.
I'll just say the people that like seek out the Pennsylvania skill machines and stuff. Like, I like sitting in a Wawa. Someone goes in, gets a bunch of scratchers. They stand right by the trash can, scratch them all off, and they head right back into Wawa to buy a bunch more scratchers. Like these.
Well, there's a Shell station right here, and it's obviously run by Indians. That's not racist. It's just run by Indians.
I think the obviously part is.
So, grandmom's standing there, like, just watching over the store. The incense is flowing, and there's like 10 people at those skill machines at a Shell station. Like, what are you guys doing?
Gambling.
Besides wasting your paycheck.
Right?
I mean, the thing that is unfortunate with it is, I mean, we love the lottery. We love what it does. It gives to someone back, I assume.
The government, mostly.
Exactly.
But the thing that's really horrible about the whole idea of the lottery, or like gambling in general, is it really does target those people in fixed incomes. I've heard so many stories where you go to like, I've talked to people who like work at Wegmans in the area, that sort of thing, and they're like, yeah, I do the redemption for the lottery tickets. And when I do it, there's people that come and spend $500 and like gamble it away and go and redeem like $20 back. And it's just crazy.
It's crazy that that's built into humans, because I mean, it's not just it's a worldwide thing. I mean, they used to have numbers back in the day. It's people love a chance, and that's kind of America also. Like,
taste.
Give me a chance. Except for there's like mostly losing in gambling.
No, 100%. I don't like. I mean, at least to me, I have plenty of friends who love gambling. They love hitting the slots and playing the blackjack and all that. But at least for me, I don't see it. Like, all respect. Listen, I love the casinos. The casinos are great. I imagine they're a good time.
They have their place.
Yeah. But I go to the one, at least here. Maybe it's just the vibe of Pennsylvania casinos. You go, you get scanned in. It's like an airport. It's like a hospital. It's like a smoking lounge all in one. You see actual people on like oxygen machines, and then you see like smoking. It's just nuts. Like, it's crazy.
Not glitzy and glamorous. Like when you're going in there and
It's
you're
not
seeing
Vegas.
the oxygen machines, and they're still allowed to smoke in there, which is a crazy thing. It's like, so what's the correlation between people that are still smoking in 2024 and gambling?
No, exactly. Yeah.
Just wait till you start finding the videos of the people that are like, this machine's gonna pay out soon, so I'm just gonna.
I've already found them, and
I'm just gonna sit here and piss myself because I'm not giving this machine up.
Or the my buddy has the roulette. He has the strategy on the roulette how to win. It's like there's the reels that show you how, and it's like that's not gonna work.
The worst part too, I mean, obviously there's a reason they do it, but when they come around with the free well drink or beer,
yeah,
like, oh wait, something that lowers your reasoning and then something that's really dangerous to have if you don't have a lot of self-control. I wonder why we put these two things together.
That was the coolest thing about when you turn 21. You're like, all right, guys, let's go to AC. It's like, they just keep bringing you drinks. And it's like the well drinks. And it's like, once you start pounding them, they start, and maybe you're not tipping them. They stop coming around.
They just don't come back.
Yeah.
I got to go down. I actually went for because I do the printing and stuff. I went to a convention called the Printing Expo.
I've watched a few clips from that.
Yeah, so it's called the Impressions Expo. I think that might be different. It was Printed Apparel Expo. A lot of fun. I love it. It was just like really interesting going, and you talk to people. You have a print background, or
no?
You just like watch videos.
When I was watching, or when I was working at the cell phone thing, I had a lot of time on my hands, and I was coming up with all kinds of ways to make millions of dollars. And at one time back in, I don't know, 2009 or 10, QVC came out with like this thing that was like a t-shirt printer, and it was like a whole all-in-one thing. And I was like, oh man, all I got to do is pay 5 easy payments, and I can start making t-shirts. And then I started like looking up builds of how to build your own. There's things that spin. You do a t-shirt and you spin, and mass producing t-shirts, and then. Yeah, that's my t-shirt expertise.
It gets there's so much you could get like way into it, and some people do like a certain
so many different kinds.
I don't want to get I will bore the hell out of you with t-shirt printing. This is a high quality latex vinyl, super durable, like rated over 250 washes. The huge advantage, I can do as many colors as I want. Where if I was silk screening, I have to like go and I have to mix it, and I'd have to do that. So I'm not in the silk screening. If you want 100 really good shirts, you go to me. If you want, and there's not saying that silk screening's cheaper, but this has the ability to do like that very specified one-off stuff. So if you want one-off very specified shirts, you can go to me. If you want 2,000 shirts, I'm like, listen, I'm sorry, just go to a silk screener. It's not like that's a lot of effort for doing this process. But there's a lot into it, and it's really cool. I have utmost respect for silk screening. That is. Like if you ever develop film, I imagine you guys are around that age.
Just in school, photography.
Well, yeah, but you've done it, right? Like you developed it, and how much, like if you even get it in the light, like slightly, it's all messed up. Yeah. Silk screening's like that, but way messier, and it's just like, oh my god, like same concept, seriously.
Now, so what
I
found...
like you just aged us with film cameras.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm older than you, but yeah, did you take a photography class or no?
I didn't take a photography class, but I've fucked around with cameras with film in them before.
Did you develop it?
No, I never.
You don't know what he's talking about.
I understand. You get the red room and there's no light. I know the process.
You've seen it in movies.
It's annoying.
I just I'm sure there's plenty of kids that are like, "What do you fucking film? What are you talking about?"
Whatever. I found it's the t-shirt, man. Like, so there's all the different ways you can heat press. You can do all these different types. What's the one where it's like? What's another kind of...
there's like foil, there's silk screening, there's DTG, DTF.
Yes, that one.
DTF and DTG are pretty similar.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but I've seen a lot of people go into it, like pop up around the area, and then like there's this machine, because I don't know what it's at right now, but I think it's like $100,000 printing machine or something like that. And then you need something that like you can only use this certain type of shirt with it, and then it needs to be prepped by this like spray on this machine to make sure it goes in. And people will buy these machines and like try to make money off of like 100 shirts. But like to make money off of something that you're leasing like that, you have to have orders constantly out the wazoo all the time. On top of it, it breaks, and you need to have the fluids, the nozzle. It's crazy.
So there's all these different kinds.
Yeah.
And really, like when we're all buying shirts from our favorite whatever, you got Rick and Morty, you've got whatever. It seems to be like. It's the shirt that really makes the quality.
100%, yeah.
How many shirts have you got where you're like, you love the design, but then, after 5 washes, it's a piece of shit and you can never wear it again. Like, what's the point?
Completely understand. Yeah, it's kind of the reason I started. I was with a girlfriend at the time, and she got a stain in her shirt, and we weren't allowed to, like, get in the shore house. That's kind of the reason I started. We went down to one of those, like, cheap... Pierce back to Wildwood, one of those cheap like custom t-shirt stores, and she wanted one that was like for breast cancer. It said like save the tatas or something like that, like goofy. But good essentially
good shirt. I support the message.
Yeah, save
it's very Wildwood. But the one thing about it was like we went and I was gonna get this shirt and it said like $10, like $10 shirt. Okay, $10 shirt. That's fine. I have $10 in my wallet. I'm a teenager at the time. I can afford $10 to buy a shirt for my girlfriend. And then I go, oh, yeah, here, we'll have that shirt, that design. Okay, so the design's going to be $30.
Yeah.
And
The old switcheroo. See, this is all
crazy.
going back to marketing, bud.
Well,
That's,
100%
there's your
right.
lessons.
Well, that's just scum. I don't know. To me, that's like the worst way to do it. And then, because, same thing if you're out on a date and you're like, oh, yes, I'll get the fine champagne, please. Like, you're not going to ask about the price of champagne. You're not going to look cheap. Yeah, I'll get that shirt. Okay, your total today is going to be $65.
Yep.
Oh, would you like an extra press that helps with the wash durability? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. So it ended up being like around $70 just to get a single T-shirt at the boardwalk because it was custom pressed. The lady had pressed a design that was sitting in like a filing cabinet pretty much that is like had all that moisture, everything not gonna last. Had taken it out, pressed it for 15 seconds, peeled it off, and just like that. It was just, I don't know. That to me was like, that is so anti-consumer. If you get a shirt through me, I believe I still have it at like $24.99. Pretty much any shirt, just send me an email. I'll help you get something custom. Definitely those one-offs, and it's a really cool little thing there.
You gotta up those prices. You got like the specialty fees and the wash fee.
Well, yeah.
Delivery.
You know, like,
yeah.
exactly.
Sorry,
Really,
sir.
like-
No, the wash fee, like, that means nothing. I don't know what that is. I actually, like, I think they put a piece of wax paper before they, like, press it, but I don't know.
Just
I
like-
actually have no clue how that works. Like, I
You just
think
gotta
it's
make up the fees. That's all they're doing.
So that rolls right into the product you brought with you. Your
Oh,
little
yeah.
like thing. Like, so once they figured out, like, okay, same with cars, same with everything.
Mm-hmm.
You can't make something too good because then people just won't keep buying your product because they'll be fine with the one they've got. Like, you brought us a 1999 Apple computer that you say you still work off of, or it's
No, I
just
don't actually. That was a complete joke, but I love
So
this
it's just
to death.
a prop.
If they ever
he lied
make
to
some-
us right at the beginning,
Yeah.
we met and he was already
compulsive
lying.
liar.
Damn.
I would love for Apple to make something like this again. So as you can see, it's got these bright like blue colors, so goofy, transparent plastic. Like, this is so 2000s, 90s. Apparently, it's made with some like bulletproof plastic. I don't know if I believe it or not, but it's pretty cool. This is one of the first mass-produced laptops that actually had Wi-Fi. At the time, it was fairly new, and Apple was doing their thing where they tried to coin it, and they were calling it Airport. So they're like, yeah, this laptop's got Airport built in. And I don't know if you guys were around that age. Again, I don't want to date you, that sort of thing here. But pretty much, if you
Fine.
wanted a computer with like Wi-Fi at the time, or wireless network, you had to get an expansion slot, like an expansion card.
Mhm.
This
Okay.
just had it built in, and this is one of the first ones that was marketed and like had it built in. When Steve Jobs brought this out, it was really cool. They actually had it, and they had a hula hoop, and they like put it through his arm and like put it around the laptop and like, look, there's no wires, everyone, and we're connected to the internet, and that was such a cool thing.
Yeah, that is a. Yeah, I definitely didn't have a computer until I was older, and I had my own job and could afford one.
Mhm.
But yeah,
I love that. I mean, on top of the design, the fun colors, the handle, I thought that was really cool. But it kind of reminds you, and now you're seeing this nostalgia for like the 2000s. I would say, like, at least to me, I feel like going to college in like 2006, 2007 would be so fun. Because you were at a point where like
I mean, I wasn't in college yet, but
you could
it
use
was right around that
I went
age.
to a lot of colleges. It was pretty fun.
you
I was
could
kicked
use
out of college parties.
you could use technology to your advantage, but at the same time, it wasn't so ever present in your life. Like, if you had MySpace at the time, like, oh, cool, look what James posted on MySpace or something like that. And you weren't, like, constantly thinking about it. But at the same time, you had the convenience of cell phones. You had tech that could help you and not control your life like it does now. Where now it's like, it's pretty much an extra limb, To not have your phone is like to not be connected to the world. It's nuts.
Yeah, I think we're pretty lucky to have been born in an era where it's like we remember playing in the woods, not coming home till at night,
Mm-hmm.
and then now we have the appendage of your cell phone where the world's in your pocket. you
Well,
know?
and just like not being on social media, like, and not being like not looking at it, just nobody having anything like that. Where you're like, if you
assume
wanted,
everything's okay.
if
Yeah.
you wanted to figure out where your friends were, I hopped on a bike and I rode around the neighborhood to see which house had all the bikes in front of it to be like, oh, I guess they're hanging out at Jeff's house.
Well, also, like, so you're sitting here, you know, you're waiting for somebody to show up at your house, and it's just like, all right, I'll be there around 1. And then you would just sit here and you'd be like, okay, 1:30, like, did they get lost? I don't know. Like, but what if somebody shows up at your house unannounced? Like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Well, no, you can't do that anymore.
It's
used
weird
to
do that.
Yeah.
Like, but that's how people would show up at your house before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, just stopped in to see Pop or whatever. Like, now it's like if somebody shows up at your driveway, like, what are you doing? You didn't call or text me? What if I wasn't here?
No, but it's crazy how, you know, culture has shifted, especially because the internet technology right now. Like, the culture from the 70s to 80s, of course we think of, like, the pop culture stuff, like the MTV compared to, like, I don't know, Jim Croce or something like that. Like, different, but also at the same time, like, a kind of a same culture. Like, it wasn't, like, a different planet. But going from generation to generation, at least from what I'm seeing, I'm 23 right now, I can't, like, looking at the generation a little, everyone's always like, yeah, that generation younger than me, I tell you what.
Man.
But it's crazy how much, like, we're losing, how much they're all reliant on, you know, internet, that sort of thing. Of course, I was born in a time where, the internet was still, like, I didn't know a time without it. I knew a time without smartphones and stuff like that, film cameras, all that, of course, VHS, Blockbuster even, wow, crazy.
Yeah, I gotta.
But I was at the very tail end of that. Like, that was when I was way younger. But now, like, the next generation, younger, whatever, I don't know, Gen Z. But, like, you talk to people who are, like, 4 years younger than me, and it's crazy because they don't even, like, here's how I'll put it. Remember how I said, like, technology was separated? They used to have computer rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the internet was a place you had to actually open a door and go to and sit down. I'm going to use the internet. Now, if you want an internet, you just pull it out. Oh, yeah, this is cool. It's, like, right there. It's present. What I was going to say, though, is, like, even, like, we're getting more reliant on technology, but the generation after me doesn't know as much about technology. This is something that I've heard from, I have friends in, like, IT, like, that sort of stuff. Would you believe if I told you that, like, people younger than me, than, like, whoever 4 or 5 years younger than me, they don't know how to use, like, a file explorer, like, how to organize files on a computer, like, how to use shortcuts. Like, it's insane.
They're getting away from being on laptops,
yeah,
and
to, like,
computers,
just being on, like,
cell phones.
It's
like,
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I would believe it, but that is a crazy thing to be like, oh yeah, they don't even know how to search through your files.
Yeah, like control delete type stuff, which is just wild to me.
And, like, something I've seen is the younger generation is some people our age. I think this is a pretty universal thing. Is I just assume every single thing I see online is a lie, that it's not the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are people growing up now that's like, no, like, they're putting that online. Obviously, that's true.
And that's only going to get
worse.
worse.
And I don't mean, like, in a meme or, like, a fact or something. It's just, like, you take a picture and you're on vacation. You're like, look at how great my vacation was. It was like, maybe one day was nice and it rained the rest of it, but people go online and they want to act like a vacation was perfect the whole time.
That's good. I thought you were talking about, like, that recent video.
Oh, no.
Like,
any chick you're talking to is a dude in his basement.
They don't live down the street. MILFs don't want to fuck.
Yeah, definitely not. All of that still applies, but I'm saying you could take that next step further to social media and the whole, like,
that's interesting.
Everything is still a lie online. You're just, like, throwing a veil over life and your online
what's really
presence.
going on.
Yeah, prove it, bro.
Yeah.
Prove it, yeah.
I was thinking more along the lines of, like, right now they've got, like, a video game of a jet avoiding like the dome over Israel, like a jet, like, avoiding the bullets or whatever coming out of the machine guns.
Mm-hmm.
And it's from a video game, but they're posting it as, like, right now what's going on in whatever part of the world's at
crazy.
war. And it's like, some people might see it like, holy shit, that's crazy. Like,
Yeah,
it's a video game.
Old people that you see, like, people are playing Grand Theft Auto and they're like, Grandma, look what's on the news. And then it's just like a guy
that's
going
only gonna
nuts.
get worse.
Have you seen apparently? I mean, I've been seeing it all the time on Facebook and, like, LinkedIn too. I've seen people posting, like, fake AI generates. I mean, obviously you could tell because it's got a look to it. Maybe eventually it won't have a look to it. But there was one that was hilarious that was apparently, like, a pretty big meme. It was like crustacean Jesus, and, like, people's grandmas were sharing it around,
No.
and it was like some sort of, like, I mean, there is a Jesus. They call it a Jesus fish out there, but I think it was like a shellfish, and it was, like, shaped, and, like, they're like, wow, this is a miracle. It looks just like Jesus. And
It's like the Jesus toast.
Yeah, it's something you
Just a
find.
new version.
Find the Virgin Mary in your French fries or something. Like that stuff's been around.
I mean, to an extent, like they call it a crucifix fish. Actually, like that is a real thing, and that is like crazy the resemblance. But AI generated where it's like Jesus with a beard is just like it's
look
crazy
for
stuff.
patterns.
Yeah,
It's like how does a moth look like a bird? Like shit like that. It's pretty crazy. I saw the Vin Diesel AI generated of just like weird things Vin Diesel-y looking. It was the shit is getting strange for sure.
I mean, I work with a lot of like creative people, a lot of people with like creative talents, that sort of thing, and I've been fortunate enough to make money doing something creative, and I think that's the coolest thing ever. But everyone I talk to, they're like, "Oh, this AI is gonna kill us. It's over. We're dead with AI." And at the end of the day, you kind of, I hate to say it, but you kind of got to suck up and just adapt and be like, how can I use this to my advantage? How can I kind of market myself or put myself forward that like, hey, I'm not using AI. This is real. Something that I think is going to have a huge resurgence soon, and this is just me personally seeing it, is, I mean, I imagine that looks like a real print right there, right?
I think I got it from like Poland or something. I bought it on Etsy. So
I just looking at that, I could tell.
Right?
Yeah, I could probably tell that that's not like a print like out of a computer, like printing like that's most likely a silkscreen print. Just the way I'm seeing like the blacks and the orange contrast, like the paper's orange, the ink was actually black, and they silkscreened it.
Okay.
But I feel like actual art, like physical art in the real world, is about to get a lot more valuable very soon because people are gonna want something with that human element to it.
Absolutely, like
where
that picture behind you, like
more.
Yeah, I guess you could just print that out, and maybe that that is a giant print. But like, how cool would it be if I had an actual somebody paint that to be real? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you could have them printed out for way cheaper. But what if you had a real painting somebody painted? That'd be worth way more.
100% right. Yeah.
And it's like then gets crazy where people are just like Jackson Pollock's throwing paint on
That's
paper.
a CIA operation, dude.
It's $300 million.
Yeah, that was made up by the CIA to piss off Russia.
Yes, that's always interesting there. I mean, have you guys seen the new? I'm not going to talk about Apple, but Apple started putting it in. Usually when they do something, everyone like kind of follows along. They're like, "Oh man, they kind of made this cool." Because like the iPad, for example,
they definitely make things cool, but they're never first on anything.
100%
anymore.
right. They're just the ones to make it cool. Like the iPad, like there were so many tablets around, but like they were like just computers,
Janky,
and you had
yeah.
exactly. And they're like, wait,
They've mastered user friendly.
Exactly. Let's make this cool.
Like,
and
well, Apple just had some sort of showcase for their new iOS.
WWDC, yeah.
Yeah, that was just like, look at all the stuff we can do. And I'm looking at it as like, you mean all the stuff Android's been able to do for 10 years? Like now Apple can do it?
And now it'll be super popular and user friendly. Like working in the cell phones for so long, it's just like I've always just gone with Samsung because I think they've always had a better phone. But you'd never want to talk somebody that's been using iPhone from iPhone 1, 2, and 3 to getting an Android. Like it would cost you so much time. You'd have to return the shit because they'd be like, "This is just too complicated. Give me my iPhone back." Like, as much as marketing put in money to change people's minds, it's so iPhones just people are just going to use iPhones. It's just what it is.
Have you ever heard of because you work in cell phones, you definitely have. You've worked in cell phones. I mean, like you know about the green bubble stuff,
Like,
where
when
it
you're messaging
affects
people.
like I think it's statistically something like women will think less of a man if she texts him back and it's like a green bubble.
I think that's one of those studies where it's just like I don't
like
know.
lizard on a treadmill.
I guess something where it's just like so innate, like who
Well,
really cares? But yeah, I guess
everybody
people do
gets
notice
tribal. You're really,
Yeah.
Fuck it, it's not a blue bubble. The fuck is this, dude?
God.
Yeah, I
What's
guess.
wrong with this guy?
The big problem was I don't think it was so much that. I think it was a bigger problem of iPhone.
Well,
They made it annoying for Androids to text iPhones. So like iPhones, when they're using message, they're using the internet. Whereas people would get hung up. They'd be like, "Oh, did you get my message?" Like, "Oh no, it didn't come through." Like almost, I would say on purpose that they were blocking out Android or other services to put their own system above, so that or group messaging.
It doesn't use the quickest,
yeah.
like the most efficient way anymore.
Yeah.
They're sending it SMS when everybody else is messaging
Exactly.
on like internet.
So, what's going to happen? iOS 18, they're changing it to RCS. So they're fixing that, so you could actually like send your friends with an Android phone a video,
And it
which
won't
like
look like a piece of
it
shit.
won't. Which I'm like so happy about, because that's like the biggest annoyance for me ever. Is I send a lot of photos and videos back, and if someone's got an Android, I'm just like, oh god, I'm gonna have to like go on WhatsApp for this.
Yeah, no, but that was definitely a big problem with everybody like using Androids. Like my friends aren't getting my messages or group messages for a long time. They weren't allowing that shit. So
Well, you could still do the group message with like not Android people, but then people that have an iPhone still like you can like when you thumbs up a message or something like that, and it just like on Apple like it puts the little thumbs up thing on the bubble. But if somebody with an Android does it, then it's just like they replied thumbs up to the whole thing. It's a whole new text.
pretty annoying.
Yeah, tech guys, man, I love going to yard sales. I don't know if I ever I might have brought up yard sales to you, but I love going to yard sales and just off the cuff, I'm just like, you guys got any tech? Yeah, like just curious, like tech. The big thing right
They look
now.
at you strange, like what?
Yeah, they're like, what are you talking about?
Anything with a computer? Or
I mean, I usually joke about it. I'm not gonna name names, but I have a pretty good friend, familial, and this individual will go and he'll walk up to a yard sale, and this person I know, very into yard sales, like gets aggressive. We'll go up, hey, do you guys got any like records, video games, or Legos? No, we don't. And then he just walks away. It's just so crazy. He's getting mad at me and my cousin because we were like talking to people at yard sales, and he's just like, no, you need to get the Legos and the video games. And like all respect to this person, they're cool, they're great.
Yeah. Well, there's
but,
definitely a difference. Like if you're trying to get somebody's stuff, you probably want to go in with an approach.
You're that is
But
true.
Because you watch those
if you're
guys.
looking for something specific and he's like, do you have any of that stuff?
Yeah.
Like, no.
But they
that's
might
what
have
I'm
it
out
that
here
they're not
looking.
willing to part with. But if you can, if you got a personality, you could talk to them. They're like, oh, actually, you know what? I was on the fence about this, but here, I do have this.
And that's
stash.
like the one thing. This is a weird little hobby here, I'll admit. But I love anything. I mean, a lot of people are into like thrifting now. Yard sales, weirdly enough, are becoming mainstream. Like people are on TikTok
Gary
now.
Vee, yeah.
I'm like, please get off. Please stop doing that, man.
Yeah.
Yard sales are a private thing, and I don't want people doing them because all the cool stuff's for me,
Yeah.
and I don't want all the cool stuff for other people. Okay. But it's wild how much like secondhand is like big now. Thrift stores, like if you went to a thrift store like 4 years ago, obviously it's always been this like
Great.
subculture.
You used to be able to find so much good shit in thrift stores.
Exactly.
Now it's like everything's picked
Well,
clean.
there's
when you
people in
go
there with
through.
phones taking pictures. Of everything.
Exactly.
Like,
It's the
fuck.
trendies.
Yeah.
I knew someone, an individual, not a huge fan of, but she would go and she would buy like no job. Buy and sell Lululemon, like all different types of clothing, that sort of stuff, and would make like a job out of it.
Yeah.
That being said, when I was with this person, you'd go out to eat, you'd be on your phone. Oh, so how was your day? 1 second. Like just typing and like constantly posting items, responding to messages. Like it was at the point now where you're like, oh, cool, you don't have a job, but you're making a lot of money. But like at the same time, that is your life.
Yeah.
Like it's a trade-off. It's with anything.
Gotta do what you like. If you're gonna make money, whether it's taking pictures, making T-shirts, or schlepping packages around in a delivery truck, you have to put in the
You have to
work.
grind,
like
yeah.
there's no shortcut for the work of what needs to get done.
There are people out there. You guys, I don't want to. I always say I don't want to. I have a lot of mannerisms. But stock images are like an interesting thing in the photography world. I got into stock images when I was in like high school. Like I made a Shutterstock account. I think I've made $70 total, which is really interesting. And I did some research into it, and you have to like really tag it out and like find like this image goes here, this, that. And like take a photo of gravel, take a photo of a red Solo cup, take a photo of a bear, take a photo of wall, take a photo of wall texture, take a photo of brick texture, and then you'd like upload it, and then people would buy it. Again, I've only made like $70 from it, and I put like maybe like 400 photos
I was
on.
gonna say you probably did a lot, right?
Yeah.
The only one I know is the dude that did the original Windows logo, like the grass hill with the sky over it. That dude made a bunch of money just on one picture.
Well, yeah, that is something where if like you're commissioned for it, did they get it from like a stock image website or something, or
I don't think he was commissioned to go like take the picture. They
They just
found
bought it
and
from
were
him.
just
That's
like,
crazy.
We want that, and then there was like a licensing thing where he was like, all right, like I'm selling that to other people, and they're like, no, like that's our picture, like synonymous with Windows at this point. And he's like, well, your rights are up. Time to pay me.
Yeah, the thing is, I've talked to people who are like doing photography, and they're like, yeah, I really want to get in stock images. And I'm like, that's cool. You have to, of course, like know a niche, be really good at it, and tackle it, there is a way to make money with it. But the people who do it full time, and I've looked into it, the people who are like their main income is taking photos and uploading them to Shutterstock, they're constantly out there with a camera, snapping, like wood texture, like brick texture, like gravel texture, like stuff like that, and just thinking constantly in their head, like, what can I do to make money and someone will buy this image, that sort of thing. It's just like, it's a crazy world. You go on Shutterstock, you look on any stock image website, and you look up, like, guy eating pizza without a shirt. Like, that's going to pop up. Like, there's probably thousands of that. Because someone thought, like, hey, someone's going to want a shirt. Someone's going to need that photo for some sort of marketing. And it's
how much
really
does
crazy.
a stock photo cost?
I believe every time someone downloaded mine, I got, like, anywhere from, like, 25 cents to $1 from Shutterstock, which is, like, it's really cool that someone, like, went out of their way to buy it. I thought that was sick. And I think it was, like, gravel texture, one of, like, a roller coaster in Wild with, like, not even that great of a photo, and one of, like, a solo cup in snow.
And that's what you made money off of.
Yeah, again, only $70.
Yeah.
Someone I know took a photo, went to Urban Outfitters, bought a neon sign that says like "hello." Took a poor photo of it, like not even a great photo of it. Uploaded it, over $400. Not even into photography, anything, like just made an account. Oh, hello, neon sign. Took a photo of it, uploaded it, made way more money than I ever did with stock photos.
Gotta get
and
all
I like
your
really
bug pictures
grinded. I
up
went
on
into
there.
it.
I was just thinking that I'm gonna upload my bug pictures.
Do you have like good bug photos?
Hell yeah, I got good bug photos.
Dude, no joke though. Like people probably looking for insectoids, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The
Well, they
term
could
we
fucking use them on the identifier because I can't ever fucking
There
find
you
the
go.
right photo for what kind of bug I see.
Yeah, I'm really into critters and bugs.
There's your niche right there.
I'm walking outside. So it all started. I'm walking outside to my car. It's raining. There's a puddle. There's a grub in it. There's white, fat grubs just wiggling around. I was like, ah. And I've always had the Samsung, so they've always had good cameras. Take a picture of it. Like, all right. And then, like, maybe my next photo is, like, since we're out there all the time, every day, delivering, like, a butterfly, 2 grasshoppers fucking, like, oh, well, I guess now I take pictures of bugs. So,
hey, that's cool though. Seriously,
well, now
not many people could say stuff like that. But
and my Colt 45 train, that was cool. Empty Colt 45s.
Yeah, there you go. Go upload it. Given like as I've said, like we talked about, like it's the grind, like it's a lot, like getting into it, and there's only so much you can get
chicken
into.
farm, dude, from photos.
Dude, so I haven't been seeing chicken farm shit on Instagram.
Is that like a trend now?
For me, it is.
If you search chicken farm shit all the time, it pops up. And then him talking about it near me had it popping up on mine. And so I should have sent you the reels I've been seeing. It's a dude that he's like, fuck chicken farms, rabbit farms are the way to go. Oh, so you're already ahead.
I don't know if I want to kill rabbits, dude. They're cool.
Wait, is it for meat?
Yeah.
Not for pets? Like I imagine that was the grind was for pets.
No,
rabbits,
it's like a bunch of rabbits, and he's like,
they're way more economical than
chickens.
He's
like with 2 rabbits, you can get like 150 pounds of meat a year.
Yeah, you gotta
plus
be kinda...
their manure. Like it's a whole thing. Like there's this whole thing.
So
you just hook onto the your something that'll hold it, and you just put the rabbit in there, put his head, lock it in, and you just yank, and it's done. But it's just like, look, I guess I don't mind killing stuff for food or whatever, but like rabbits are fucking cool. Like I don't know if I could just kill rabbits.
I completely understand. It's just like you see
chickens,
a rabbit.
They're birds, dude. There's a difference between a rabbit and a bird.
Cold and feeling, and like a warm mammal.
They will eat your eyeballs if you give them a chance. Like there's a bunch of videos of like people, like all these people now are like, oh, we're backyard chicken lovers, and they're holding their chicken, and it's like a common thing. You'll be like, oh, they're so cute, and they'll just fucking reach out and try to grab your eyeball.
You spit in the ground, a chicken will eat it. There's not.
They shit in there. You got to keep their food separate from the ground because they'll just shit in it and keep eating it. They're dirty fucks. But
I don't know, like that line between pet and like livestock.
Yeah,
it always so interesting to me. And listen, I respect everyone who likes all different types of pets. We're all into weird, different stuff. Yeah. I don't really like me personally. I just don't like a pet that sits there in like a cage. I'm like, okay, that's not a pet. That's just like it's living furniture. Like I got really into fish my like senior year of high school. I was like, oh, cool, fish tank. Cool, beta fish. Look, oh, guppies, cool. And then I was like, okay, now what?
Yeah, no.
It's furniture.
You're cleaning out that fucking tank all the time because
you get a second beta fish and you fight them.
Yeah, or that.
That's a big thing. That's where Pokemon comes from. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh,
Vietnam, that's like a huge thing. I've had some friends go over there. I mean, obviously,
Did they go over
I
there
don't
to
like-
fight beta fish?
No, he's got family. No, very few people. Like my one friend, Mike, he went to 2 different places that like nobody goes on vacation to. Very few people go on vacation to because they're not like an advertised. Like everyone wants to go to Germany, go to Italy, go to wherever in the world. Oh, tourism, Brazil, it's
Thailand.
beautiful. Thailand. But
what you got over there?
I think they got
Dubai.
good food.
But my friend went to
Something
Ecuador.
you can eat for sure.
He went to Ecuador and he went to Vietnam. Vietnam,
Okay.
he's like, I have no cell service, but the food is crazy portions and it's delicious. And it's literally like I'm going on an adventure. And I think that's really cool. But what's crazy is the open air markets. And you'll see, like, if you Google beta fish market or something like that, it's just like all these super beautifully bred beta fish, just like all in these little Tupperware jars. And you can go and just grab, but it's a big thing. It's like cockfighting. Like, people go and they fight them, which, like, don't get me wrong, that is horribly, like, it's complete animal abuse without a
Yeah.
doubt. There's a reason it's legal, but, like, it's a fish. I'm not crying over it. But, just really, I don't know.
I bet those great grandsons of or great grandsons of the fucking Vietnamese are like, yeah, now we've got American tourists coming over. This is awesome.
So that was interesting. And this is like crazy to me. But he went to Ecuador because I think his mom had a friend in Ecuador or something like that. He ended up going. He got worst thing ever happened to him. He got salmonella in Ecuador, which is like, ugh. Imagine getting a horrible, like, is that a disease, a virus? I guess. Horrible sickness in a country where you don't speak the main language.
Yeah,
and that is horrible.
I believe it.
But the one thing that he told me about
And
that
it
I
makes
like,
you like shit your brains out in a place where
Exactly.
they might not have toilets.
Yeah, well, they got holes in the ground.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a place for you to go, but you're not sitting on porcelain.
the thing that blows my mind, and they love it over there. Like, it's actually a huge part of their culture is eating guinea pigs,
Yes, I've looked
And,
into
like-
guinea pigs too.
like farming guinea pigs.
Yeah,
I
I kind of want to try one, but like, yeah, there's a whole because so once you start going down the path of like
Weird meat.
homesteading, and there's so there you've got the chicken people, you've got then they're like whoa, then you got rabbit people, then you have like there's a whole culture that eats guinea pigs, and they're prolific breeders and they don't take much input. It all becomes a math equation.
Is that
at a
legal
certain
in the
point.
United States? You can
Yeah,
eat guinea
you
pig.
you can get them, yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, like we know them as pets. They know them as like, yeah, we farm these, like, yeah.
Well, like if you let them get out of control, there'll be like rats in a
Yeah.
village. Like,
So like, what's better? Like, it's an input. Like, how much does it cost to feed this thing that'll eventually feed you?
Here's something that I'm thinking of now. Like, there's a size to what we eat.
Mhm.
Like, we don't eat stuff that's too small.
Well, we're lucky that we live in North
Well,
America.
yeah, of course.
So
We
I think
can
that's
actually-
probably the
Well, here's the thing we don't think about too often. Again, I'm not going to get too grateful here or that sort of thing. But it's just like, we get to go at the end of the day and you're like, oh, what do you want to eat? Oh, let's go to Red Robin. Let's go to Longhorn. Olive Garden's there. Oh, I'm going to stay and make some pasta tonight. Other parts of the world, they don't have that option.
No.
They don't have the luxury of like, hey, I know what I'm going to eat tonight. No, I don't want to go to that place. That place now.
well, not only that,
Like,
meat is a huge thing. So,
that
like,
too.
My buddy's wife's from Slovakia, and like he went over to their grocery store, and it's like they're only like eating meat like twice a week. The
Mhm.
rest is like fresh every day, go to the market stuff. Like I
Mhm.
feel like every meal we eat has meat in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just crazy. I mean,
It's interesting.
a lot of people, they come from like overseas and they're like, well, American food's not that great or this or that, it's not fresh, which completely fair. We got stuff like the Red 40 Kraft mac and cheese where it's not real cheese. But if you actually take a step back and you go like, hey, I'm going to make, again, very few people have the luxury, but they have fresh markets around here.
Mhm.
You could actually make a connection. Believe it or not, Pennsylvania's a lot of farms and farmers. You could actually make a connection, be like, hey man, could I get some meat from you? And you could actually go and buy meat from people. I know it's crazy.
Yeah, like next year I want to take people out. This year I went to the Pennsylvania Farm Show.
Mhm.
It was fucking cool. Like, it's up in Harrisburg. It's a convention center way bigger than the Philadelphia one, and it's just filled with everything farm life. It was awesome.
Yeah,
and you
that
didn't
is
even
so
get
cool,
food
man.
there.
Well, we got food, but we didn't get like it was the lines were too long, so we just got the regular generic like fries and whatever hot dog or some shit. Whereas they had all these like great vendors, but you had to wait like a half hour to get through the line. It's packed. It's huge. It's a huge thing.
I've been trying to slowly. I mean, it's very hard to do stuff like this, but I've been like consciously, especially like the COVID stuff where you couldn't get certain stuff, and I feel like people are a lot more aware of where their stuff comes from. Like, it's an unfortunate reality, but a lot like that Rick and Morty shirt. I'm sorry, it's beautiful. It's a nice shirt. He's going Rick and Morty, you know, Pickle Rick, that sort of stuff. But that was most likely made in a sweatshop.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much anything we all have on. I mean, at least
Yeah,
for me and
exactly,
Stan,
yeah.
like, I can't say if you're.
Well, no, this probably was too.
Yeah.
This shirt, Gildan, I don't know. This is a Gildan shirt. But
It's
I have gone out of my way to like try to redo my wardrobe. I mean, obviously this is like you have to actually put effort if you want to do stuff like that. But the stuff that I buy, I try to buy high quality American stuff
I do
when
too.
possible.
I do too, but it's expensive. Like this shirt's
Exactly.
an American Giant, and I bought like 3 shirts from him. It was like $150. Like just a plain white, a plain black, a plain yellow. I was like, all right, I think that's enough American made for me. But you do try to make a conscious decision, and it's like, damn, it's so much more expensive. But why? But if it was in front of you, it's like, here's a child making yours, you know, for $1 a day. Versus here's an American getting paid a living wage.
We're gonna
would pick that.
We'll make you a shirt right now. Do you want it for $5?
Yeah.
It's like
So I
get
did
over
actually
here, child.
find when I try to source like a higher quality, like especially 100% cotton shirt, I did find a supplier, like a certain one. I mean, of course you could do American Apparel, but sometimes American Apparel is like made in Brazil. Finding actually,
They trick you a lot.
yeah, exactly.
That's the problem.
They were at one point made in America.
Why is
they were
there
like the
not
luxury.
a law that's
South
like,
America
has to be made and sourced in America? And then you can put that on your tag and it would sell more. But there's all these loopholes to get around. Like,
100%
well, we
right.
got this product from there, and it's all fucked up, dude.
Well, it's like you see with meat, like ground beef,
yeah.
and it's like product of the USA, but it's like that meat was from Brazil, and then it was slaughtered there and ground down there, and then they ship it to the U.S. and they repackage it, and because it was repackaged here, it's like, oh, now it's an American product.
So
Like,
you're
no,
a
it's
big
not.
fact guy. Like, America is the second biggest exporter of beef. We're also the second biggest importer of beef.
Crazy.
How does that work?
Shipping it out.
It's an old Brian Regan joke.
Is it?
You see 2 log trucks pass each other on the highway. It's like, if you had logs over there and you had logs over there,
Yeah.
you think a phone call would save a lot of time.
I did find a company, I think it was like Smartex Apparel. That's the one I try to buy a lot of like blanks from, shirts. Of course, like bigger orders, I'll go with Gildan, but I try to stock a lot of Smartex. And the reason being, they're not too crazy like with a price hike. But I was actually able to go. I think they were made in like Pakistan or something like that. I'm not too confident, but I was
Those
actually.
guys love us.
I was. No, somewhere. Maybe it was Pakistan.
Well,
Don't quote me.
The first time I started looking into it was because like one of my favorite rappers is Immortal Technique, and then he has all of his shirts are American.
Oh, really?
Source. Yeah, but you can only have so many shirts that have an AK on the front and an upside down American flag on the back.
Yeah. People start pointing you out.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you walk into a store and like some old guy will come up to you like, "Yeah, man, fucking guns," and then you get the tap on the shoulder like, "What's the flag upside down?" I mean, like, it's just the thing.
thought
Like
people would know
America's in
that by
trouble.
it's crazy how many people don't know like proper flag etiquette.
Yeah.
Or like even what a flag upside down backwards looks like.
Yeah, it doesn't mean
like,
I hate America. It's just like things are fucked up and we should try to fix it.
like people don't know this, but like if you put an American flag on your truck, or you put an American flag on like a shirt or something like that,
Yeah.
it's supposed to go backwards. The reason being is it's supposed to go like the direction of the wind. But people, just don't care.
Well, I think
Have
it's
to
even
burn
it's,
it. Trifle. Like there's rules and people just
it's
like
illegal.
gave
Like
up.
you see, like a shirt that is like made not like from an actual American flag, but it looks like it's made from a flag. Those are illegal. Like you're not allowed to sully the flag by
Shouldn't be wearing
it.
underwear that are the flag. But that is
It's
an
pretty
interesting
weird that
thing.
you brought that up. Yeah.
Right?
But like stuff like the half mast stuff, obviously that the news doesn't always get out for when you're supposed to do it. I guess there's probably some website that's like when to put my flag up at half mast. But like sometimes I'll go up around like a neighborhood, you'll see a guy with a flag, you're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But it's not lit at night, and it's raining right now.
All the
and-
special rules
Yeah.
that they should be following if they want to really do it. Well, what's crazy is they've kind of turned. Like, I talk about this with Mr. Shabazz because he'll make fun of me because I have a cool hat that I got off Instagram that has the American flag logo. And he's just like, oh, where's your hat, your America hat? Like, it says, as in I feel like the collective like news or whatever, like if you see somebody with an American flag on them, like they're a fucking bigot, racist, like you know, January 6th person. It's like, why? How did they turn?
What were you doing in January 6th?
I wasn't at DC. I wouldn't protest anything.
Yeah, man. How
Let alone-
dare you wear a country flag?
Yeah, and it's like that's
horrible.
where we live. That's how you can go around and tell everybody your ideas without being pushed off a roof. Like this is the country. Like try to make it better, not try to make it like demonize it. But I mean that's just the cool thing to do right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
As I'm getting older, like, and I'm sure as you'll find when you get older, like when you have a mortgage and you have kids and you care about different things than you do when you're younger, you start to realize like, oh, America's a pretty fucking awesome place to have grown up and live in.
Oh yeah, listen, especially if you're living in like southeastern Pennsylvania. Yeah. Obviously, there's rough parts, but you've won the lottery. You've literally won the lottery. You are so lucky, especially as I've said specifically this area too. You go like whatever, this crime, that, but like if you just think of how nice this is, we have 4 seasons. There's plenty of loving communities around here. We have plenty of things to do. There's no major storms or tornadoes or anything like that. We get flooding on occasion, which does affect a good amount of people. But for the most part, it's a completely inhabitable area, and we've got a beautiful community of just like, you know, pretty great people.
Less than 4 hours from everything cool on the East Coast.
100% right.
Much, yeah.
Like
it's hard not to wake up every day. Like I understand things happen. Obviously, life, you can't be great all the time. But like you wake up and you're like, oh no, I have to go to my job where I have to sit in front of a computer.
You got to prioritize.
Oh no, not a computer. No,
yeah, you've got to prioritize your things that are fucking up your life. Like all right, is stupid to say, but be thankful for this, that, whatever. But yeah, when you meet these Debbie Downers or these people with a fucking constant rain cloud over them, it's like, dude, that's just you. It's not your circumstances. It's you.
I was serving at an Olive Garden. Funny enough, like, oh my god, now I guess like 2 years ago. No. Yeah, actually, 1 year ago. 1 year ago, I quit in July. Which is funny. It was interesting. And I was like at that point where I'm like, I'm gonna be doing serving forever. Which like there's nothing wrong. You can make a lot of money serving. I know a lot. Yeah. But, you know, someone was in my ear that I broke up with that was like, you're a loser. You're literally a servant. I'm going to graduate early and make a lot more money than you.
Jeez.
Never heard it
stuff
put
like
that way.
That sounds
you're
like
a servant.
Servant. She used the term servant because I was doing like an
Ouch.
actual like job, which blew my mind. I don't want to get too into that, but this individual was always like, everything that makes me, she wanted to kill, destroy,
oh, yeah, they love that.
ruin.
You're probably gonna marry her, dude. That's what they try to do.
But
that was your love. That was your love of your life.
But she was like, you know, I play guitar. I remember I learned a guitar song for her, and she's like, that you suck. You ruined that song. That was so bad. And it's funny because now I like. I mean, I'll talk about it later, but like I host an open mic. I'm not like god tier, like this good at guitar, but like it's still a part of my life. I like jamming out with people, singing a song, going to an open mic here and there. It's always just it's a lot of fun. That's a part of who I am. I like that creative aspect. Photography. You took the worst photos of me ever. These suck. Oh my god, you're so bad at this. Okay, then I like gave that up for a bit. I'm like, well, I guess I suck at that. Even design printing, your shirts suck. Like you would even get to that criticism. Everything that I was ever good at or anything that ever happened to me in life was just like a straight and really where it comes from is two things: projection and jealousy. If you don't have anything interesting going on in your life, go find something to do.
Exactly.
Go find something you're good at.
You're double fisting beers. Slow down. All that stuff. You're hanging out with your friends too much. Yeah, they try to tear you down, dude.
Yeah, there.
Well, given gambling,
over there, huh?
you can't make your hobbies drinking and gambling. That's I respect it. Listen, drinking and gambling's fun, but like, you watch out.
Tell me I can't. Watch me do it.
Yeah. But
well, good thing you got away from that person.
Yeah.
Try to learn your lesson, huh?
We'll see.
Yeah.
But the thing is, and this is like an unfortunate reality. Maybe again, I am fairly young, but I'll talk to a lot of people, and it kind of breaks my heart. And I feel like a lot of people, obviously, there's that like path, that mental path. I go to college, I get the degree, I get the job, live my life, get married, have the kids, live my life, enjoy, watch the Netflix, whatever. But I'll talk to so many people my age, and I understand we all have hobbies, like you think we all have hobbies and interests. But I'll talk to people. I'm like, okay, so like, what's your life? And a lot of these people, I understand, again, young, like straight out of college, maybe just got their first job out of college, that sort of thing. And I'll talk to them and be like, okay, what do you do? Oh, well, I go to work, and then after work, I go home and I'm really tired and I watch Netflix and fall asleep. That's not a hobby. Like, you don't have any, like, and at least to me, I think, like, there's a few keys to happiness. Two things that are really easy. Sounds so stupid, but going outside. When I was not feeling so great, I just, like, went and I just walked the Perkiomen Trail. So grateful. Again, another great thing that we're in, like, Pennsylvania.
Just gotta watch out for those homeless encampments.
Is that a thing now on the trail?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Wow. Long story short with
You'll
that,
see them.
like,
They're by the piles of trash.
I don't know.
That's just the homeless people.
Sorry, I'm like a Green Lane trailhead person,
Oh,
so I don't really know what you're talking about, and that's really cool. People do know. I'm so easy at getting sidetracked here, but people do know of me in the Perkiomen Trail Facebook page, which is so freaking cool.
Nice.
Because I designed this shirt and it kind of like exploded. It was called the I still sell it at collegevillecustoms.com. It says Nick Picts right now, but you can go on collegevillecustoms.com and get your own customized shirt. The most popular being the Perkiomen Trail shirt. If you like a stylistic retro 70s type of shirt, the Perkiomen Trail shirt is for you. Walk the Perkiomen Trail in comfort. collegevillecustoms.com.
Radio
Awesome.
voice.
Yeah,
That was
thank
awesome.
See, it's over.
But where was I? We were talking about
Talking
trails.
about, well, you're lucky,
happiness there.
First, you're lucky you didn't have a kid with that girl. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, it could have been trapped.
That's one thing, but I feel like a lot of people lack commitment, and they lack, at least my age, from what I see, my experience. I could be completely wrong, and they lacked like something greater than them, and that's where art. I really like art in that aspect, and I feel like no matter what, you should be trying. Like even like maybe you didn't do Did you do like something artistic? I mean, podcasting
on my
is
books instead of
Yeah.
learning in school. Yep.
Well, there you go. That's not like actual like art, but like even like podcasting. Like you have a greater meaning beyond yourself, some way to literally expression lane yourself
I was
out
300
there, right?
in the world in Call of Duty 4. So that was pretty
Lies.
impressive.
He can bring no receipts to this.
That was talent.
He can bring
But,
no
like-
receipts to this claim.
They didn't have freaking the rankings online at the time. And
So then, how could
lost-
you know you were
lost
300 in the
well,
world?
it was on the Xbox. Like you go to rankings. I was 10th prestige, all right, and 300 in the world at one time. It's fact. I didn't have a job. It was awesome. It's probably my favorite part of my life. Besides, having a family and stuff.
But like, what I was trying to say is like people should go out of their way to try to create something. Like even if they suck at it. Believe it or not, you suck at a lot of things first before you get good at it. There's something that I've tried to do, and I think it's been a pretty complete failure. But every once in a while, I'll meet someone that'll be in my life. I'll be like, hey, here's a ukulele. A little secret here. Don't take advantage of this. I go on Facebook every once in a while, and I see ukuleles. I'm really into ukuleles. It's like one of my favorite instruments, if not my favorite. And people think they're toys. Because they'll like buy them for their kids. Their kids will never learn how to tune them or play them or anything like that. They'll sell them for like $5.
You're the guy buying, huh?
I'm the guy buying them. I've driven like 12 miles out. Like, oh, I'm gonna go get a ukulele, and I'll go and they'll be like, oh, this is the ukulele, and I'm like not bragging. I think I'm pretty good at ukulele because I can do this
make
thing.
them listen.
Sometimes I'll like tune it up in front of them, and they're like, whoa, this guy's really cool. And go,
I didn't know it could do that.
yeah, but people think they're toys, and it's really cool. So I think I own over about 25, almost 30 ukuleles at this point. A lot of them cheapos from Facebook. But every once in a while, I'll meet a person. I'm like, oh, you don't have anything like interesting going on. Here's a ukulele. Learn it.
Oh, nice.
I don't think they ever do.
No,
But it's
no.
like the idea that like they have that sitting somewhere. Like, hey, I'm bored. The electricity went out. I've got nothing to do. Oh, I could play ukulele. I could learn that. They never do.
I
But
can make noise with this thing.
So
Yeah.
that goes back to when you were talking about kids are not going to know. The internet went out for like 6 hours the other night. I was like, fuck, I can't do anything. I can't listen to music. I can't watch TV or movies. What the fuck? Like, unless you're
Hey,
using...
come on, board games? Got a deck of cards in the house? Nothing?
Yeah, but I mean, what am I going to play rummy with myself? What am I going to
No, it's
What am I going to
solitaire.
play cards with my wife? What the fuck is the matter with you?
Oh, okay, fine. Sit there and wait for the
Oh,
internet
yeah.
to come back.
I did.
here's something I just thought about. Imagine like this is like I imagine if I got like really really bored. Like if you just started drawing a map from your house and just saw how much it, like how far do you think you could go?
That's an
Like not an
interesting
accurate map, but like a map. Like you're like, this is the house, this is the street. Like if you just sat there, no lecture, like you were bored for like a week.
I could probably do 3 counties out from Philly.
Jesus, that is confident, man.
Yeah. Well, I've
How,
worked in
how
and
specific?
I've driven all like, well, I mean main roads, obviously. Like you definitely start with the turnpike, main roads 202, 30, all the way out to York County. Probably get to the battlefield, Gettysburg, just because I recently went there like last year or so.
This guy's got some confidence with that. And I was just thinking
Mountains.
about that. It's one of those things you think of as like, if we got EMP'd, which
Yeah.
like losing power, don't quote me on this, I'm not a scientist. Yeah, I'm not actually like a true certified. This is Nick Mitchell Science Corner right now, okay? There's a thing called a EMP. Hey, electromagnetic pulse. Apparently it can be weaponized to destroy batteries and cells and Wi-Fi signals and destroy all electronics in an area.
Or a solar flare, whatever
It's
they
something
say
like
is
that. I don't
coming.
know.
Yeah.
But like if something like wiped all the hard drives and everything, first of all, I'd probably be miserable because I have like terabytes. I like compulsively take photos. Google Photos is one of those things where like they used to have this unlimited storage thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna take photos of literally everything that I see. Every meal that I had, I'd take a photo. Every place that I was like, I'll never see this again, I took a photo of. And my Google Photos go so far back, and most of it's just irrelevant, stupid stuff.
Yeah,
but I'm
there's
glad
gonna
I
be that
took
one
those.
picture
Though.
you're thinking of, and you're like, I took a picture of that.
No,
Where was
you're
that?
100% right though.
It
You're 100%
might take you an
right.
hour to scroll through that and find that, but you got it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got
So
it.
that's a photography thing. I'll talk about that in a bit. But I think to myself, like, what could you do if we got EMP'd? Like, not even like no electricity, but like no electricity, no hard drives, like nothing written on anything digital. Like even stuff with a battery you couldn't even use. Like you couldn't like even use old batteries and power stuff up.
Well, I guess first thing is get the fuck out of here because we're not going to have any water or food.
Yeah.
So we talk about now we're getting somewhere because this is my territory. Yeah, we gotta go to the mountains,
God
dude.
damn it.
I mean, like the survival stuff. Like I feel like a lot of people have that like down pat, but like.
You'd be surprised.
Well, not like exactly down pat,
Yeah.
but people like think of that. But nobody thinks like, oh, what am I gonna do? But I imagine what you're doing is the survival stuff.
Well, it's just
like,
like
it's not-
get in your vehicle and like that's why I loved going up to the mountains with my buddies so much. Like you go up there, you gotta turn on the water. You don't have any. Like we would bring up a TV, a DVD player, so we watch Sopranos. But really, at the end of the day, like we have a wood stove, we'd have a burn barrel and beer. Like that's really all you need.
But it's more fun though, right?
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
Like it's a
Best
weird
times.
thing. Like you think like more would be better.
No,
But at the end of the
simple,
day,
simple,
it's like
man.
when you get stuff taken away from you. I find a lot of the stuff that I do, like the most creative stuff that I see people do, and this is I can't remember what they call it. But when you have a lot less stimuli, you have to think creatively and kind of get through. You have more restrictions. There's the one guy I don't know too much about him. I'm not a historian either, but there's the historical figure. I think it was a poet, Voltaire, and they said he had like the highest IQ of all time. And the reason being is he grew up in an environment with like literally nothing. So he had to be super creative, think, do problem solving, that sort of stuff. Again, I don't really know who the guy is. I'm not.
Plus, I think they're all pedophiles too, right?
Voltaire.
All of them. I don't know.
Poets.
Yeah, poets, philosophers, scientists. Everybody back then was just fucking kids.
Oh, they were. Yeah, they were pretty weird. Pretty weird.
All right. well,
Great.
These opinions are not the opinions of the Express Lane podcast.
After this, I'll look up
Excuse me.
Voltaire
This
to
is
make sure.
this is not the official opinions of the Express Lane podcast at Nick Picts. Make sure to get your Perkins Trail shirt at collegevillecustoms.com.
I'll have to double check that. He might be one of the ones that didn't.
No, the thing that is funny here's a thing that like, and I feel really bad. I know some people who like they went for journalism in college. I'm not saying like it's not useless. That's horribly mean and very pig-headed. I would never say something like that. But I will tell you, it is a very hard thing to get paid for, like writing, especially now with AI. That is the one thing that has been like hit so hard. But it is kind of creative when you see someone trying to like make money of it in a creative way. I was in Phoenixville the other day and I saw this guy and I'm like, okay, I think I'll pay for this. Usually I wouldn't, but I want to support this guy. Maybe I'm not like on the same level as this guy, but I think it's kind of cool. He had a little typewriter and he was paying, like you pay him to write a poem.
Oh, okay.
I was like, okay, that's cool. He's like commoditizing something that he's a skill. Was it the best poem in the world? I don't know. It was a poem. But it was kind of cool that I could like give him a topic and be like, okay, this is it. this is, I want a poem about this, this, and that. And he was able to type it up on the little typewriter. And at least to me, I thought that was like the coolest thing in the world, that he was like
very interesting.
making money writing, which is the hardest thing. I would argue like one of the hardest things right now to make money from.
I feel like I'm sure there's like he's got a formula to like knock out poems. It's like when you go down to Ocean City, Maryland, or like something they do in a
like the
Wildwood
caricatures.
Too. Like caricatures, or the dudes that do them like the spray painting demonstrations, and you do this and you
like
wipe
they practice
the
the same one over and
over.
over.
It's like, oh, okay, you know how to make the moon above a cityscape, and it's a little bit different every time.
Yeah.
Still kind of cool.
So,
you still pay the 10, 20 bucks for that.
And
but it's not like a custom fully. It's like, you know how to do this thing.
To me, it was like mainly the novelty of like, hey, this guy's doing something a little creative. Maybe I'm not like all for it. Maybe it's not worth
cool,
the money, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, do you know Green Eyes Photography? It's out in, I think they're out in Coatesville. They go to like.
Do they get your eyes?
What's up?
They get your eyes?
No, it's called Green Eyes Photography. It's just what they do a lot of the crashes. Like whenever you're reading the news in like mostly out in Coatesville or Chester County, you'll see them as the photographer at a crash site or whatever. I just see them all the time. Thought maybe you'd
That's interesting, yeah.
But they're just like they take most of the photos for that kind of stuff. Like an ambulance chaser kind of thing.
I've heard of stuff like that. There's ways to make money with photography that you're like, there's different avenues you go down, and each of them have like different levels of respect and different levels of like, oh, this is classy. Of course, there's like different parts to it. Obviously, like there's all different genres, that sort of thing, and people get really into it. A lot of the wildlife stuff, I don't know anyone who actually like makes money doing the wildlife stuff. Me personally, that's just circles that I'm in. But I feel like that's like mainly a lot, like especially around here, like a hobbyist thing. There's like maybe a handful of people that like break into it, and they're like, yeah, my full-time job is taking photos of bears or something like that.
Well, I follow a guy that's like a postal guy up in fucking up in Eaglesmere or something up there, and he just like, there's a ton of waterfalls up there, and like you just see his stuff. Like he'll have the orange salamander thing, he'll have the waterfalls.
So cool.
And it's just like the dude just likes hiking, and he's taking photos at the same time.
But by the way, like nature photography, like good nature photography, it's one thing to like, at least to me, I think the most boring photos ever. And this is just me as someone who's taken a lot of photos.
Better not say bugs.
No, I think bugs, dude. I think bugs are cool.
They're up there though.
I think flowers. I see a photo. If you can make it an interesting photo of a flower, I think that's like you're really skillful. But I feel like someone's like, dude, look how cool this photo is that I got, and it's like a flower in the sunset. I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, that's cool because you have to be nice. But like,
you don't have to.
Flowers are already something that's like intrinsically.
You grow up into that.
Like everyone thinks flowers are beautiful. Nobody's like, oh, that's such an ugly photo of a flower, because they're like the subject. It's easy. You can just. They're a thing that like stands still, bright colors. Usually the lighting. You're outside. You're not usually outside at night. So I don't think like flower photos are that impressive unless you could do something really creative with it. When it comes to wildlife is super, like on the flip side, very difficult because like you have to get these expensive lenses. They're usually a lot heavier, a lot harder. Really go out there and wait for hours. And there's people who just like, same thing with like hunting, where people wait for hours to find a buck. People wait for hours to go hide and take photos of a certain rare bird. Like, and I think it's like the craziest thing.
We always went hunting and stuff, and I'd be like, tell my dad, like when I was younger, I was like, I don't know, I just think it would be cool to like take pictures of them. And he called me gay, and then we kill deer.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should go out there hunting season just to take some pictures.
That is what's cool about photography, though, is there's different avenues to do it. I know you did mention, and I don't want to like derail it. Immediately derailing. Now go into commercial mode, everyone.
There's no structure to this podcast.
So but I do want to talk now that we're kind of like on that topic. I'd love to talk a little about like photography in general. I know we were talking about like different avenues. The one, by the way,
I'll take this one.
Super interesting. I'd love to like. I haven't met anyone that does it, but I've read a lot about it. It's like the crime scene photography. Apparently, it's good money. Like it could be like $30-$40 an hour. But at the same time, you're like, okay, get up at 2 a.m. and go take photo of this. And then like it's not like, oh, I have to get my flash to make the lighting look good. And no, you're like, oh, blood, like just like that.
It's like
and that's gonna mentally
drain you. Yeah, the moral aspect of it. Like, okay, I want to be the first one on this crash scene, but it's like 2 dead, and then you're taking a picture of the vehicle, and then. How are you gonna? Is this gonna be posted before the people's family is notified. So I think that'd probably be like a
That's
kinda
crazy,
moral
yeah.
conundrum.
I imagine there's people with a crash that they're not like. I obviously like I do portrait photography, that sort of stuff. That's my main thing. And I love portraits. I think I'm pretty good at making people smile. I don't know. I've got my methods.
I would have hated, like, luckily, like, I was drinking a lot when you were like, hey, jump up and down and take a picture when we were at the thing.
Well, yeah,
and
yeah.
I was like, all right, well, luckily, I'm a little inhibited, but yeah, I
So-
would have hated your attitude if I wasn't drinking.
Yeah.
Which, no, you
No, I
have a
completely
great
understand.
attitude. It's just, I'm a negative person.
I'm like
Yes.
again, I'm like one of those people, and you'll probably see it if you go on Nick Picts, something like that. I always say that I'm high energy.
Oh, yeah.
And it's one thing to be a
What?
photographer. No, I'm super low. The Express Lane podcast, like.
That's me.
Yeah, I love the Express Lane podcast because I get to go here and talk about my taxes. Did you know if you haven't filed with the IRS in over 2 years, you are liable to yeah. But what I was gonna say is like I'm that crazy guy who jumps up and down, who yells, who like gets in your face. And I'll be honest, the photography is like that style. It's not exactly for everybody. Of course, I can like really change it out. You know, a big thing about photography, especially for like client work, is I could work for people's needs, and I tend to do that a lot more. And I will go out of my way to make it really unique.
Mm-hmm.
But if you talk to anyone who's like gone through a full session with me, depending on what they're doing, specifically with portraits, I really go at it hard. And I'm like, we're going to make this a fun experience. At least for me, I grew up and I mean, everyone knows when, you know, their mom or their aunt would be like, okay, photo time, everyone. Okay, Stan and Kevin, get in.
All
Okay,
right.
look, smile. And then
I've
like,
made a life ruining those photos.
yeah.
But
But like,
tell him your photo thing. He's got a photo story.
What do you mean?
When people ask you to take a picture.
Oh yeah, no, I mean nobody asks me to take pictures anymore because if somebody hands me a phone to take pictures, I'm just taking selfies of myself.
that's what my younger
And-
brother does that.
and,
he
like-
does it, but then he'll get like the worst areas, like he'll get your crotch and like your lower stomach,
Oh,
and like
no, I
he'll
just-
get like a double chin, like
Oh,
he'll,
it's
he'll
like-
zoom in. Oh, it's horrible, and I'm like, I thought this was cool.
If it's a stranger, it's like here's 50 pictures of me and one picture of the group of you guys that you asked for,
Classic.
and I'm already walking away by the time you have your phone back.
All right. Back to your high
Oh
energy.
yeah, oh yeah. So I mean, as I've said, like I'm jumping up and down, that sort of thing. One of the coolest things ever. I got to take photos. My cousin went to Temple University, and I haven't been to Temple in a while, but I kind of like it's Philly. So I just treated it like the Wild West. Like you can kind of get away with whatever there.
Yeah, it is the
So-
Wild West, right? They
so-
have shootouts all the time.
Temple's nuts. Like the stuff that I went there and saw, like we were joking, like, oh, we're going to Temple. Like it's not that bad, that sort of thing. And then we go, and it's literally like Twilight Zone. Like we literally saw a dog like kind of get hit by a car and like break its leg and stuff. Like everything wrong that could happen went that day. Because it was Temple. It was just nutso stuff. But that being said, though, we had this huge crowd of people, and I love doing This was like one of my first shoots doing graduations. And I was like, okay, if we're gonna do graduations, and I like went way longer than most photographers did because I went all around the Temple campus. You can pay a guy a lot of money to do that, but like this is when I was kind of starting off, like really doing it
Yeah,
for
it's
any sort of
trade-off.
pay. Yeah, exactly. But I was probably doing it for like 4 or 5 hours, which like I was drenched, like sweat, all that, whatever. But I'm like, okay, if we're gonna do this, we're getting music. It's so like one of the big things that I love. I could do events, stuff like that, but it's something cool. I always bring a little Bluetooth speaker with me, and I play like I'm like, hey, listen, we'll make a playlist for you. If not, we're gonna get Michael Jackson, like all the '80s classic stuff. So I'm out there, I'm in Temple, like at that big arch, taking photos of like my cousin or friends, and we're just blasting. I wanna rock with you all night, dance you, and all the students are just looking at like, what's going on over there? This guy's like really jumping up and down. Okay, everyone smiles. Okay, smile at me. I'm like, it's great.
That's
When
a great
there's
idea.
a group of friends, you kind of have to toy with them, like mess with people. I'm like, okay, you guys are stupid bitches right now, and they're like, oh my
Yeah.
god, he said that, and then you get like that genuine smile. And I kind of have that like that punch where I'm able to get a reaction out of guys. I mean, not guys, people just in general. And that's something that I love doing, and just getting those really good candid, even though like I'm very much intentionally lighting a shot, setting it up, that sort of thing. And that's sort of my niche there, is like doing a very specialty portrait. I also like the idea, and this is something that I do as a hobby,
Authentic
not for
or
money.
real
Yeah,
would be something to describe it.
that's what I'll
Yeah.
say. Yeah, where it's like it's one thing where you can go and sit there for an hour. Okay, who is this guy? He's a portrait photographer. Okay, let me take the photo.
Mhm.
and people sit there and take the photo, but I try to make it an experience on top
You
of
want to
it.
sell your soul, do the school photography.
I was about to work for Life Touch. Oh my god, that apparently not a great company to work for. They like make you do your own equipment. Not a lot of money for that too, which is like crazy. And you have to like drive your own car. It's crazy stuff. But so that's one part of it. I also I don't want to get too into it, but I have a little bag of tricks that I always tend to bring with me when I'm doing portraits. And I like to constantly buy props and different lights and stuff like that. Like, of course, depending on what we're doing. For Philly,
Just imagine got you doing like a bunch of girls like, all right, big black dildo, authentic smiles, huh?
That probably would get a laugh. I'm talking more stuff like bubble
Just
gun.
ask you to borrow yours.
Like I brought out this huge bright blue bubble gun in Philly, and I'm getting people to smile. I'm like, okay, we're doing bubbles now. And I'm just like blowing this bubble gun that I got off of Amazon. I'm not gonna give the brand because I don't want anyone else knowing. Okay, but I've got like 4 of them.
No
at
free
home 'cause
plugs.
I love them unless it's a sponsor. Actually, you can buy this bubble gun linked below with our affiliate link.
There you go.
But it is so powerful. It's like spill resistant, and it shoots literally like if I was blowing it right now, like had like my finger on the trigger of that bubble gun, entire room would be filled.
Yeah.
And it's like aggressive. And I like going and having these subjects, of course, when they when applicable. I'll be like, okay, time for bubbles. And I've got these insane photos where like there's bubbles filling the entire frame. And if you go back and look at some of the stuff I've been able to do with that, it's just so freaking cool with that. Last year I was doing a lot more like grad stuff, that sort of thing. And it's always fun, and you got to be high energy too if you're doing like event coverage, that sort of stuff.
So what's your favorite like if would you like doing like the grad photos, or would you like do like concert photo? What's your if you had to pick one thing that you're like, this is I'm following through on this.
I like
photos.
Me personally, I like high concept photography. If you want someone who's like, well, I'm really into this and that, and I'm going to do a pirate themed photo shoot, you can contact me. I'll go out of my way. I'll be like, listen, let's go. We're going to meet in Wildwood. We're going to find a pirate ship. You're going to dress up as like a pirate, and let's go do this. And I do that for fun. Like, and the unfortunate reality is like when a lot of people sell their art, like I do graphic design. That's like a whole other thing too. But like, you talk to these people who do photo, video, and I'm at a level where like it's a part of my job, but I also like make money for it too. But I also have enough free time where I'm like I'm able to like have that as my hobby still and have fun with it. Given I'm still having fun even when I'm doing client work, but like I like constantly thinking like, what could I do to make this look really cool? If you look at my personal Instagram at nick.a.mitchell, I'm not even going to lie. It is insane. It's just a bunch of weird photos of me. And one of my favorite things is my self-portraits. And I try to up the ante every once in a while. I bought this whole tuxedo, like a red tuxedo, and was like, this is my Christmas photo. And I got like this Santa Claus hat. I'm in this like tuxedo. And I have me by the 7-Eleven on Germantown Pike. My friend was able to help me get it. Smoking a cigar right by this, like lighting a cigar. And it's just like weird. It's like a weird image. Like, what's going on here?
But that's cool, and anybody that knows you knows like, oh yeah, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
he's the
for
guy
him.
who does that.
Yeah.
One of the coolest ones we have was like over in Norristown by like the 202 bridge. I got this photo of a girl. The idea was like, we're gonna do 70s. We're gonna do a 70s vibe, Bridgeport, Norristown, like where my parents grew up, like that sort of vibe. So I'm like, yeah, let's check that out. Let's see if I could do something like that. I got these vintage like suitcase briefcases, travel bags, or something like that, like all leather. And I have it in this one like street in Norristown, and just the color, the sunset, like how it looks, it's like straight 70s. And I love
minus all the Mexican food spots.
Well, it actually, funny enough, there's like maybe like this really Toyota Tacoma, whatever truck, like all beaten down. Like there's like clothing on the street that's like all beat up, like dirty.
Yeah,
But it
Norristown.
reminded me. But that's like when my parents, my mom especially, like everyone on my mom's side of the family talks about like growing up in Norristown. It literally sounded like again the Wild West. Like they're like, how did we?
Just a lot more Italians.
Yeah, but it was like. And this is a whole nother thing. Again, I don't want to hold you guys. I know it's a podcast. I don't want to hold you guys for like 2 hours. But they talk about it, and they talk about crazy stuff. Like apparently my family's got something to do with like some curse with like the mystical eye. I don't know the details of that, but apparently that's like something you don't bring up, or like people like in that
you just
area.
brought it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did.
Also, the funny thing about
I
that
didn't know
curse
about
is
that until like
if
last
you don't
year.
know
either.
about it, it doesn't exist.
Oh, yes. But that's apparently a whole thing. It was
Just
like,
like
a high,
Jesus.
Just like, oh yeah, it's a better one.
it was like
Just
a high
ghosts.
profile like crime case or something like that. That's a whole thing. My that side of my family, they talk about like dogs, like wild rabbit dogs would just go around and walk up and like attack you and bite you and stuff like that. Which like to me, like I grew up in the suburbs, that's unfathomable.
Yeah.
Apparently there was a lady who was a witch who would like throw curses and live with like 30 cats. I'm like, did you guys live in the medieval times or Norristown in the 70s? I can't really like put a finger on it. Then my grandmother growing back used to live by State Hospital, and you'd hear stories where like, hey, we'd hear alarms at night and people would be breaking out. What the hell is going on? Like,
yeah, that's crazy. Like that.
it seems like it wasn't that long ago,
No.
but it seems like a different
50 years
planet.
ago. Yeah, 50, 60 years ago. Because I have Sunday coffee with the old timers. They're like 70 and 80 years old, and they've all worked for the Norristown Borough. And just exactly what you say is all their stories, except for like it was a tight knit town. Everybody knew everybody, and there was a bar on every corner.
Exactly. I love striking that nerve with people every once in a while. I remember I talked to I served a cop who was like Norristown cop for years, and you just like bring it in, and you're just like you pinch that nerve, and you're just like, hey, do you know what a Norristown Zep is? Oh, Norristown Zep? I didn't know Norristown Zep. Did you know Buddy's Water Ice and RC Cola? RC Cola, absolutely delicious. RC Cola, you ever have that? RC Cola, Royal Crown, Triple Crown Cola. And, like, you struck this nerve. And, like, people are so happy to tell you all about Norristown, like,
People
growing
love
up.
telling you about themselves and their own experience.
Well, that, too.
But no, not in a funny way like that. No, but
it is,
you have a
like-
personality
Well, thank you.
of pulling, like, oh man, I'll tell this guy, whatever. Whereas, like, quite the opposite of me is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna tell the like, fuck this guy, low energy cocksucker.
Like some stuff. I again, I don't know too much about it, but I remember my friend he was telling me like, yeah, there's just like a club for Italians, and you get this like I'm like, that's a thing. I'm detached, so I don't really know. But like they're talking about the Holy Cross, like that sort of thing, which like it's still a big thing. But apparently, like back in the day, you'd go and like all the hot bands were always there at all time. I think it's still. I know I've seen a showcase or two there before, but it's like crazy that you could just club,
Yeah.
that like that.
Polish clubs, Italian club,
And
all
like,
that stuff.
don't get me wrong, Norristown's still fairly interesting. There's still like some weird little local history that you'll go and you'll look up and you'll like, what is that? Something that I think is hilarious is, and this is nothing against whatever, but have you driven by Crazy Aaron's Thinking Putty?
No.
I think that used to be. That might have been the old Royal Cola bottling factory, some factory. But if you go down Germantown Pike, there's it's actually now Norristown based. That putty that you used to buy on Amazon, ThinkGeek, that 19. It was called Crazy Aaron's Thinking Putty, and it's still a thing. I'm talking about like it's over. It's very big. But it's pretty much like a national brand where they make like putties, like different like silly putties, magnetic putty, glow in the dark, aroma putty, sensory putty, stuff like that. And that's all there in Norristown, I guess, is the main facility. Apparently, you can go in and there's a little store. I've never been in there. But the thing that I think's funny is like Crazy Aaron's like a little stick figure that they draw on the packaging. And I've like seen that for years. And then I found out like he's a real guy.
Okay.
He's a real guy and he apparently lives in the building.
Huh.
And like I
That's
think of him
interesting.
like he's probably not
Yeah,
that
right.
crazy. I imagine you go to talk to him and he's just like, hey, it's Crazy Aaron. But like in my head, I'm just like he's like Willy Wonka. He's like, ooh, welcome to Crazy Aaron's Thinking Putty. Ooh, we got a bunch of crazy putties here.
Marketing,
but
dude.
Yeah.
But it's
But,
like,
like-
whenever you find something that like is from where you grew
Yeah.
up, and you're like, "Fuck, that was right there the whole time." like Stan will get it, but I don't know. Newgrounds.com.
Yes.
Okay, was like,
Crazy stuff they let us play. On
Yeah.
Flash games.
but that was like 3 blocks from the house I grew up. Was like the building that was started out.
Was that
of.
in Jersey or
No, it's over in
Pennsylvania?
Glenside.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't even think
And,
about
like,
that.
I remember somebody was like, "Yeah, you see that like fucking warehouse that looks like it's fucking empty?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, up on the top right window on the very like end,
Mhm.
there's like a little thing that says Newgrounds, and it's like the 2 dudes that started the website just started out of there.
No shit, I didn't know that.
Um,
That's cool.
That's a really cool one. The Collegeville costumes. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Collegeville costumes at one point, and I have a little reel in my account. So if you want to check out, I believe it's actually on the at Nick.pic. Wait, it's Nick Picts at Nick Picts. It's on the at Nick Picts account on Instagram. You can actually check out a reel on it. But I did a little like 60-second reels about local history, stuff that I thought was fairly interesting. Stuff again you could only get when you're talking to the locals, and I hope like that is another, side project hobby, but that's something I really care a lot about, and I love hearing these stories, especially like this area, more like Audubon, like Eagleville up to Collegeville. The population boom here happened in like the 90s, and when you meet these people who like actually grew up and from the area, it's like seeing a unicorn, and they have stories about like, hey, this used to be that, and that used to be that, and it's so interesting when you talk to these people. But Collegeville Costumes at one point was the largest manufacturer of Halloween costumes in the entire United States, next to a company called Ben Cooper Inc. And they made like they kind of now people like joke and they're like they're cheapo costumes, but that was just like how they made costumes back then. They were actually like they were plastic molded, so like they were kind of cheapo with that. And they hand painted them. And each of these costumes, they actually had to go with a paintbrush and paint them. And it was really crazy. And that was all in Collegeville, like back where Royal Farms is. If you go back there, also connected to the Perkins Trail. I think you could actually access it. It's private property. I don't know what the building is now, but don't go there. But that, like, there were actual people there. It was an offshoot of the Collegeville Flat Company, which I believe is still around. But I posted, like, that reel on Facebook. And it was so cool because I had people, like, maybe 100 comments in this one post in like a Collegeville group, and people were like, I grew up there in high school. I wore those masks, and like, and it's just something that's so freaking cool. Like people had this like immense connection to it, and they're like, oh, I worked for this lady who was the manager there, and she was the nicest person. I made 200 shirts a day, or not shirts, like costumes. Their costumes were really interesting too because they were made from flag material, and they were flame retardant. Again, that was like a marketing thing. I don't think anyone's like, oh, man.
How many people were catching fire during Halloween then?
I think fire was a big thing back then. Like, everybody was worried about catching fire.
Wasn't it like if you're wearing a cape or something, you light on fire? I don't know. I never thought of that with Halloween. I never associated that. But, like, pretty much my theory is they had, like, the flag material. So, like, let's repurpose this. We'll turn this into Halloween costumes. But they were Halloween costumes that were completely flame retardant, like literally fireproof, which is cool.
Pumpkins, candles. I could see how it could happen.
But they were a huge player in the area, and that's like something that people don't know is from the area, and then you like hit that nerve, and they're like, wow, that's really cool.
That's that's marketing. Like,
yeah,
that's what you should have been learning. Like, you learned from Facebook like everything you probably needed to learn from it.
Whoa, really? You're telling me?
Like
you're telling me that Cabrini University? What a great school, by the way.
Down.
No, really?
I
no,
think they're shutting down.
There's no way that school shut down.
They don't exist anymore.
That school shut down. There's no way. It's almost like the commuter lounge was like filled with a popcorn ceiling, and the teachers didn't care at all. Oh, wait, sorry, Cabrini University. What a great college. Make sure to send your kids there. Go into debt for Cabrini. It's a good thing.
Well,
that
you can't now.
Let's
save some for another time.
Yeah.
Want to shout out everything you're doing. We want to thank you for coming on.
No, sorry, thank you. I talk a
problem.
crazy amount.
This was great.
You can blur that all about Cabrini.
We just try
They're
to
a great
keep it
college.
an hour because nobody
I know.
has
I
to
talk way too much.
Talk your shit on Cabrini. They don't exist.
No.
They did shut down.
No, I did see stuff like on social media. People were like,
"You'll still have to pay them, but they're shut down."
Exactly.
Yeah. They'll get their money.
I have stories, man. I could go. The only thing people ever cared about there, only community, was bingo night. And there's one kid I knew, and he didn't fully get it. She was like a really nice kid, but like had like just like learning disability, that sort of thing. And it's horrible that people were like mean. Like seriously, it was not cool that people were mean to him. But he would go up and it would be bingo, and they would do like a weird bingo, and they wouldn't explain it to anyone. Where it like be a frame, and it would be like a frame around the bingo, or maybe it'd be like an X, and he would go up and yell bingo, and people would like get mad at him. And it was the only thing people ever cared about at that school was bingo, which was just nuts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, next episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about bingo.
Talk about that. Shout out socials, whatever pages you got. Let them know.
At Nick Picts right now, I'm doing professional photography. Feel free to reach out. I want to do high concept, cool portrait photography. I also do all different types of stuff, and with the portrait photography, I can do band photography, pet photography, crazy high concept photography, as well as access to printing. So if you want to go get your grad photos and have a huge temple banner in your photos, you want to reach out to me. That's always a good time. On top of that, too, we've got Collegeville Customs, collegevillecustoms.com, custom printing, apparel, gifts, and so much more. On top of that, and I didn't even talk about it, which I'm kind of glad because there's so much more to talk about. I'm hosting an open mic at Oak Center Cinema, which is a local movie theater, the old Real 24 in Oaks, where the company has just reopened it up and it's becoming a live music venue. I'm hosting a super unique open mic there every Tuesday at 8 p.m. where it's in a real movie theater. And it's actually like back project. It's crazy, and it's super sound dampened. One of the coolest things ever. On top of that, you can follow my personal Instagram at nick.8mitchell if you like seeing weird photos of myself. Thank you guys again so much. It was a pleasure hanging out with you, Kevin.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Seriously, you guys are badass.
Definitely got to have you back. The open mic sounds cool. I didn't know they were like. I knew the theater was open, but to like live music and in the theaters, that's got to be cool.
I've been doing some karaoke with it too, and I've been going. We got a wireless mic, and I've been just doing intros and going. Like doing sunglasses at night. I'm like, don't mess around with the guy in shades, oh no, and just like walking through and like freaking people out. It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
That sounds awesome. This has been another episode of the Express Lane Podcast with
Kevin Stan and Nick Picts.
Nick Picts. Thanks,
you, bud. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Peace.
Thank you guys again so much. That was a lot of fun.
I
Seriously.
knew I was going to have to shut it down at some point.
Yeah, I know.